Welcome to Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Thanks for listening to the Day Weather Podcast on this very frigid Tuesday. A lot of folks starting their day looking out the window with a lot of white on the ground. This is especially true in eastern and northern Colorado, many parts of Wyoming, up into the high country of Colorado and Wyoming. Snow on the ground in many areas of the plains as well, along with temperature readings that are just ridiculously cold. -1 in Laramie this morning. Walden, Colorado, that's the coldest we've seen so far at -2, and it is just going to be unseasonably cold, folks, I'm afraid to say, as we go through the next 48 hours. Now, as we go forward, we do expect it to be a little bit warmer Thursday, cooler Friday with some showers. So there's going to be a very modest improvement in temperatures Thursday and Friday, but it's really not until after Friday before we can say it feels like spring again. It's going to be warmer this weekend into early next week finally. Saturday is what I call a transition day. Saturday it gets warmer, especially for the western slope folks, west of the Continental Divide. And then for east of the Continental Divide, Sunday is where it'll really warm up and feel like spring with some 60s and 70s coming. Now, we're going to be watching the long term into the April for early May for some better precipitation chances. Now, some areas did get some good amounts of snow yesterday, but for the month of April, there's going to be a lot of you that are going to end up a little bit shorter than average for precipitation. It hasn't been an awful month with moisture. We've gotten some, but we need more. So we're going to really focus in on how the month of May goes. The sun is waking up, folks. We'll talk about this at the end of the podcast. The sun is finally getting into its solar cycle 25 with a lot more activity. And that's something that I think as we go into the months ahead is something that could play a role with auroras, solar flares, and other things. We'll talk about that. Temperatures this morning, these were temperatures as of 6 a.m. this morning. And you can see the negative temperatures in the gray colors there, the purple. That's where you're single digits. A lot of areas in the teens, a lot of areas in the single digits, and temperatures very, very cold. And this is all due to a very big push of cold air out of the higher latitudes. This is the upper level pattern here as of early this morning. You can see the trough cutting into the western and central areas of the United States and the trajectory of the air coming right out of those higher latitudes right into North America. And misery loves company. These are going to be our temperatures by afternoon relative to normal. And you can see the sharpness of the cold front as it marches across the Ohio Valley. And yes, folks, another Arctic shot going to make it all the way to the Gulf Coast. Temperatures into Houston, down into Baton Rouge, New Orleans, all going to see much below average temperatures. And they're going to be looking at freezing temperatures in part of the Corn Belt, Great Lakes and Midwest, and snow this morning across parts of the Southern Plains all the way into the Great Lakes with this frontal system. So it's just not us experiencing the cold. It's going to spread south and east, covering a lot of areas. Now, by Thursday, notice the upper level pattern doesn't change quite a lot. We still have a high pressure ridge up into the Gulf of Alaska. So the broad trough of low pressure is basically still going to stay over the western United States. That's why we have to keep our expectations very, very low for the work week. Yeah, we're going to be a little bit better by Thursday and Friday with temperatures, but not by a lot. And there's also going to be little waves coming through. We could see some showers Wednesday night, Thursday. We could see some showers again late Thursday and into the day on Friday. Nothing really heavy, but a little bit of rain and snow shower activity will be around with the door to Canada still open through Friday. But as we get into the weekend, this is where things warm up. Notice the change. We basically go from a northerly flow to a westerly flow. So it's Pacific air that's going to come in on Saturday. So that's why we're calling Saturday a transition day. We go from the air coming in from the northwestern part of Canada to air coming in off the central and northern coast of California, which is certainly a lot warmer than the Arctic. But at the same time, the air on Saturday is going to be warmer, but not real warm yet. It's going to be Sunday when the winds aloft, see that change? The winds aloft come in from the southwest. So you're bringing now in desert air. So instead of this flow, like we're going to have through Friday, it turns into a more west to southwest flow, and voila. Look at the warmth coming in on Sunday across the Intermountain West and the Western High Plains. All these orange areas are above average temperatures. So we're going to go from one extreme to the other. That yin-yang that we call spring is going to kick into gear this weekend, but it's going to go into that swing that a lot of folks are wanting, a trend back to warmer temperature conditions. Now, we do see the pattern staying active. You got to remember, we're going into late April and early May. You're still going to have ups and you're still going to have downs. The next down in temperature will come in late Monday and Tuesday with a broad trough, not a terribly strong storm, but this will be producing some showers, and this will make Tuesday into Wednesday of next week colder. But it's a westerly system, not a northerly one, so we're not going to see a big drop in temperature next week like we have experienced this past week. This is the system's precipitation. This is our next chance of showers of any consequence. Nothing really big, but late Monday and the Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, some showers and thunderstorms will be trickling into the Intermountain West and the Western High Plains. Now, longer term, 10 days from today, by late next week, we find ourselves under another area of high pressure as that low pressure that comes in Monday night and Tuesday heads towards the Great Lakes. Here comes the next low. So basically ups and downs, bit of a roller coaster ride as we go into next week, but we don't see the severe cold next week. Just do expect these fluctuating temperatures. Now, we talked about looking into May. So I'm looking way far out here. This is for May 3rd. But a lot of our long-range charts that go out to a couple of weeks are hinting at an area of low pressure over the Rockies early in May. We really need this. If we were to see something like this in early May, this would bring rain, some snow to the plains, some heavy wet snow to the mountains, and one of those slow-moving early May systems that can bring a really good amount of badly needed precipitation to the Intermountain West and even the Great Basin and into the high plains. Now, I'm giving you something 15 days away from now, so you got to take this with a very large grain of salt. But if we're going to get another slow-moving large storm that we need to get, it's going to come in early to mid-May. So we'll keep an eye on early May as the next significant weather event. In the meantime, it's going to be kind of a typical spring pattern with some ups and downs. And let's talk about the sun now. The sun has really woken up. Over the last week, sunspot activity has really picked up with a large spot there, a large group of spots there, and another group of spots coming on in. So we're starting to see the sunspot activity in these latitude areas of the sun really picking up. And this area, sunspot 2816, did put out over the last 24 hours a significant solar flare. There it is right there. And you can see the next sunspot coming in. Now, this is going to not only be an active sunspot region, but there are other active sunspot regions coming. So you get what are called solar flares and CMEs, or coronal mass ejections. And you get this when the solar cycle starts to get a lot more active. And this leads to more auroras, more solar flares, also changes in cosmic ray activity. So solar cycle 25, which has been really slow to get going, is now picking up some momentum. And so you're going to kind of want to pay attention to this. If you're an amateur radio operator, if you like to see the auroras, but also we have these coronal mass ejections that can cause radio, satellite interference. A lot of things happens as the sun gets more active and more busy. And we have seen a bit of a drop in the solar cosmic ray activity. The cosmic rays have dropped. Now, it's still rated at very high number of cosmic rays penetrating the Earth's atmosphere, and that is very high even at the beginning of a new solar cycle. But we're starting to see a little bit of a decrease in that cosmic ray activity, which is what you expect when you go into a more active solar cycle. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Stay warm. We'll see you on Wednesday.